to Principal Rittman for hosting us at Edmonds. We appreciate that very much. And I also, before we get started, I just want to congratulate Iowa on two amazing events that just showcase the best of who we are. The Solheim Cup, they had over 124,000 people that attended that, 50 states, 27 countries. I heard so many positive comments about hospitality and friendliness, and it was just really great, and fair exceeded, they hit a new record, and it just, I thought, it just really demonstrated who we are as a state and as a people, so it was really great to see that take place. But I want to say, again, a special thank you for giving me the opportunity to hold my weekly press conference in this beautiful library at Edmonds Fine Arts Academy. Lieutenant Governor Gregg is not here this morning. He is accompanying his grandfather, who is a World War II vet, on an honor flight to Washington, D.C. Today our press conference kicks off our Start a School tour. And I'm pleased to be joined by Director Wise of the Iowa Department of Education, Iowa Reading Research Center Director Deborah Reed, Des Moines Superintendent Tom Ahart, and Principal Rittman. We're also excited to have a few of the Edmonds students here with us who will be reading to us in just a few minutes. As Iowa's school year is about to begin, it's a perfect time for us to discuss how to prepare our students for a knowledge economy. All Iowa students need to graduate from high school ready for college or career training so that they can pursue rewarding positions right here in our great state. And that's one of the reasons the Future Ready Iowa Alliance is developing recommendations that will be delivered to us in October that will help us achieve our goal of having 70% of Iowans in the workforce have education or training beyond high school by 2025. That's less than 8 years away, and it's a really ambitious goal in a relatively short time period, but I'm confident with the collaboration that we see taking place that we'll be able to hit our goal. At the same time, we're also thinking about long-term ways to strengthen Iowa's talent pipeline, ensuring and one way is to ensure that all students read proficiently by the end of 3rd grade. Stagnant state and national test scores led Iowa to adopt a major initiative in 2012 to identify struggling readers starting in kindergarten and then provide them intensive intervention. Now school districts and many non-public schools are screening students' reading skills using an assessment that is given 3 times a year, fall, winter, and spring. And many outstanding Iowa educators, like those at Edmonds, have been working extremely hard to use those results to help improve instruction. I'm proud to announce that for the 2nd year in a row, Iowa has made significant progress to improve the reading skills of our K through 3rd grade students. Our students met or surpassed the statewide benchmarks used by Iowa to measure progress on the screening assessment. In fact, the latest data showed positive increases of 67% to 70% occurred between fall of 2016 and spring of 2017. And that built upon the previous year's progress where the share of public and non-public students met or exceeded benchmarks, and it grew 4%. Non-public school results for the past year will be available soon. So I always talk about the importance of involving others in improving reading skills is absolutely no different. Iowa's dedicated teachers and school administrators deserve special credit for improving students' reading skills. I also want to acknowledge the exceptional leadership at the Iowa Department of Education, Iowa's area education agencies, and the Iowa Reading Research Center. Doing more to ensure students read proficiently by the end of 3rd grade is one of the 3 initiatives that Lieutenant Governor Gregg and I and Director Wise will focus on during our school visits today and Wednesday. The other 2 initiatives that we will be highlighting are Iowa's Teacher Leadership and Compensation System, as well as the STEM, Science, Technology, Engineering, and Math Initiative. In 2013, Iowa adopted the most extensive teacher leadership and compensation system in the nation so that we could better support the challenging work that teachers must do to help students meet higher expectations. About 25% of teachers now serve in roles such as instructional coaches and mentors to help analyze achievement data, fine-tune instructional strategies, coach, and as well as co-teach. Meanwhile, the Governor's STEM Council, which I have the honor of co-chairing, now my new co-chair is AccuMold President and CEO Roger Hargens. They have delivered high-quality STEM education programs to more than 400,000 students across the state of Iowa. So we look forward to learning more about how these three initiatives are working when we visit Emmitsburg, Forest City, Central Springs, and Garner-Hayfield Ventura school districts. We also want to hear how we can continue to improve these initiatives and support the great work underway by our committed educators across the state. And now it is my pleasure to bring to the podium Director Wise.
Well, thank you, Governor Reynolds. It's great to be here, especially among Des Moines Public Schools students and staff. I'm a proud dad of 2 DMPS students who are excited for their first day of school tomorrow, too. Iowa schools and the education system that supports them have come together around several initiatives in the past 6 years with the goal of preparing Iowa students for success in high school and beyond. These initiatives will form the basis of our state plan for meeting the requirements of the federal Every Student Succeeds Act. The initiatives include strong academic standards, the teacher leadership and compensation system, a revamped approach to career and technical education, a redesigned school accountability system, and our early literacy initiative, which helps teachers identify and intervene with students in kindergarten through 3rd grade who are not on track in reading. Early literacy is critical because success in school starts with the ability to read. Students who struggle to read early on are more likely to drop out of school, less likely to pursue post-secondary education and training, and less likely to earn a living wage. At the heart of Iowa's literacy initiative is an early warning system designed to catch and address potential reading problems. All 333 of Iowa's school districts and many non-public schools use this early warning system to screen students in kindergarten through 3rd grade 3 times a year, provide additional reading instruction to children identified at risk, and monitor the progress of students so that they get back on track. Keeping track of student performance and growth over time is essential to evaluating the impact of Iowa's early literacy initiative. This is why we look at long-term growth on the early literacy screening assessments using the original benchmarks set during the 2015-16 school year. These benchmarks will provide a baseline for measuring progress for years to come. The 3 percentage point growth in students who went from falling short of literacy benchmarks to meeting them this past school year, and the 4% growth from the previous year represents about 14,000 students. If our schools can maintain this level of growth statewide in years to come, it will mean a dramatic shift in Iowa's reading results. And as a result, our students will be better positioned for success in school and in life. I'll now turn the podium over to Dr. Deborah Reed, Director of the Iowa Reading Research Center.
Thank you, Dr. Wise. The statewide effort to share best practices in literacy has already begun. Next month, the Iowa Reading Research Center will host a training of trainers for AEAs and schools within the Urban Education Network to prepare their literacy leaders for delivering professional development to teachers on 4 reading components: graphing phoneme correspondences, morphology, vocabulary, and text structure. All 4 of these modules include video demonstrations, which were made right here in Iowa classrooms. And this is just an initial start to what will be built into a more comprehensive professional development package for in-service as well as pre-service teachers. In addition, the Iowa Reading Research Center has ongoing partnerships with a number of school districts addressing specific literacy issues, including the Council Bluffs Community Schools working on summer reading programs, the Sioux City Community Schools implementing small group skills-based instruction within their core literacy block, the Ames Community Schools improving K-2 word study instruction, and a number of other literacy improvement efforts in 4 elementary schools in Cedar Rapids, the Alternative School in Fort Dodge, Waverly Shell Rock's Lead Center, shelter and detention classrooms in Grant Wood AEA, and the Midland Park School in Eldora. All of the schools and districts with whom we partner have started by identifying a gap in students' literacy performance that they want to address. So having access to quality reading performance data is critical, but we know that to actually realize improvements in students' reading, that we have to get at the heart of the classroom. It matters what instruction is delivered to students. So the teachers, like those here in Des Moines, are really the critical piece for helping students, and we look forward to our ongoing work with them. I will now turn the podium over to Dr. Ahart.
Thank you. Governor Reynolds, Director Wise, and Director Reed, welcome to Edmonds Elementary and to Des Moines Public Schools. According to the 2017 Spring FAST results, Des Moines Public Schools realized a 5.7% increase in proficiency from 2016. In Des Moines, a 5.7% increase means that 580 more students are reading ready. This despite an ever-increasing percentage of students that are economically disadvantaged and whose native language is not English. We serve students that were born in 111 different countries here in Des Moines that speak more than 150 different languages and dialects, 75% of whom are economically disadvantaged. I'm proud of this progress, and I must recognize the dedication and hard work of our teachers and our instructional coaches, the creativity demonstrated by our Office of Academics in partnership with Heartland AEA to ensure that supports are provided strategically, especially in this time of resource scarcity. And finally, our Office of School support of our building leadership teams in keeping quality instruction at the forefront of all that they do. Our work with the Wallace Foundation PSI project over the last 3 years has redefined the role of the principal in Des Moines and what effective support of their work needs to look like from the central office. So, it is most appropriate that we are here at Edmonds today, where the staff has embraced the challenges that come with accelerating growth for an extremely diverse student body, and have done it so compassionately and effectively because of the outstanding leadership of a truly great principal, Jeanette Redmond. Jeanette?
All right, good morning. Thank you for being here today to kick off the start of the school year tour. I'm excited to share our story with you regarding our efforts to improve student growth and the consistent progress that K-3 students are making. We would not be able to do our work without the dedication and the commitment and the high expectations of our staff. They are here for students, and they work hard to build relationships, ensuring learning will and can take place. They are really focused on, we've really been focused on 3 different areas to improve student growth. First, we had to take a look at our conditions for learning. And we quickly realized our students were struggling with self-regulation, and we needed to fully implement Yoga for Classrooms to provide us students the need to support to self-regulate their emotions, to ensure that they are focused and ready on learning. We also developed clear school-wide expectations, focusing on EC3, which is culture, climate, and content. In our second area, we focused on strengthening our instruction. We were able to do this through ongoing progress monitoring, adjusting our instruction as well as intervention based on student data, focusing on identifying what students are missing and what we need to fill in, close the gaps for our students so they can move forward. We also focused our instruction on adjusting the core based on what our data was telling us to better meet our students' needs, as well as active engagement strategies to ensure all of our students are involved and have a voice. Our third area of focus was professional learning communities. By incorporating teacher leaders to support first and second year teachers as well as career staff through mentoring, peer observations, and learning cycles, we were able to have TLC coaches to assist with the learning cycles, where staff were able to select a growth area of their choice to receive immediate feedback and coaching to continue their growth as an educator. These 3 areas have provided us a solid foundation to move our students in a consistent upward trend over the past 3 years. Improving our scores in reading 20%, and in math 18%. So let me introduce to you a few of our friends that are going to be reading the first aid jitters. Ikra, Samaya, Princess, Boutros, Jamajian, and Niobe.
It's the black one. The black one.
Sarah dear, time to get out of bed, Mr. Hartwell said, poking his head through the bedroom doorway. You don't want to miss the first day at your new school, do you?
I'm not going, said Cheryl, and pulled the covers over her head. Of course you're going, honey, said Mr. Hartwell as he walked over to the windows and snapped up the shades.
No, I'm not. I don't want to start over again. I hate my new school, Sarah said. She tumbled down to the end of her bed.
How can you hate your new school, sweetheart, Mr. Hartwell chuckled. You've never been there before. Don't worry, you like your other school, you like this one. Besides, just all of the new friends you'll meet. That's just it. I don't know anybody and it will be hard and I just hate it, that's all.
What will everyone think if you are not there? We told them you will come.
They will think that I'm lucky, and they will wish that they were at home in bed like me. Mr. Hartwell sighed. Sarah Jane Hartwell, I'm not playing this silly game 1 second longer, and I'll see you downstairs in 5 minutes.
Sarah tumbled out of her bed. She stumbled into the bathroom. She fumbled into her clothes.
My head hurts, she moaned as she struggled into the kitchen. Mr. Hartwell handed Cheryl a piece of toast and her lunchbox.
They walked to the car. Sarah's hands were cold and clammy. They drove down the street. She couldn't breathe.
And then they were there. I feel sick, said Cheryl weakly. Nonsense, said Mr. Hartwell. You will love your new school once you get started. Oh, look, there's your principal, Mr. Burton. Cheryl slumped down in her seat.
Oh, Sarah, Miss Bonton grunted, peeking into the car. There you are. Come on, I'll show you where to go.
She led Sarah into the building and walked quickly through the crowd hallways. Don't worry, everyone is nervous the first day, she said, over her shoulders as Sarah rushed to keep up.
When they got to the classroom, most of the children were already in their seats.
The class looked up as Mrs. Burton cleared her throat. Class, attention please, said Mrs. Burton. When the class was quiet, she led Sarah to the front of the room and said, "Class, I would like you to meet
your new teacher, Miss Sarah Jane Hartwell."
Good job. We'll go ahead and open it up for questions for today's press conference.
Governor, the Department of Education last year dropped plans for the summer school literacy programs. It's part of that 2012 initiative that you were referencing. Now that you're governor, will you try to reintroduce that program, and why or why not?
Well, I think it was a pilot program, and so there might be another way that we can accomplish what we're trying to accomplish. So Train the Trainers is, I think, a great opportunity using the AEAs and, as you heard, the Teacher Leadership and Compensation Program as an opportunity to really build out that capacity of best practices. But Dr. Reed, you might want to maybe help address some of that also.
So from our understanding, a lot of school districts are continuing with summer reading programs. It's just gone from a required to an option for helping students address their literacy needs. It's part of an array of interventions that might be provided by a school district. So we have ongoing work with Council Bluffs, for example, as they continuously refine and redeliver a reading program every summer to students in K-5.
Is there a concern there that there might be some school districts that fall through the cracks if they don't have the funding to try to provide that kind of programming? I mean, should that be state required, that there be more?
Well, I think we need to look at what the ultimate goal is, and that is to make sure that all students are reading proficiently by 3rd grade. And the reading research that we have in place has really helped us through the testing that they do, the assessment, identify individuals. And as you heard, the Des Moines Public Schools is a great example of a school system that saw their children increase over 5.7%. That's phenomenal. And so we're seeing growth, we're seeing progress, and so we need to continue to look at that and figure out how we can continue to scale that success with school districts across the state.
One of the legislators who spoke about discontinuing the requirement said it hadn't been effective in his district in Fort Dodge, partly because there wasn't 100% participation among the students who needed the help. Is this a chicken and egg thing? Do you need to provide more assistance to parents who have trouble getting kids transported to school for these things? Are you recalibrating in that way?
Well, it was both, and as Deborah had stated, I mean, there's school districts that are continuing with the summer reading program. It's just not a mandate, but we need to continue to look at what we can do to really build out and scale the existing system. It was a pilot program, and that's why you put those programs in place to see, you know, what works and how we can build on that, take back the results that we have. You know, whether students were not participating, why, okay, to take a look at that, and then come back to the drawing board and look at what worked and what didn't, potentially, and then put a strategy together to move forward that we can continue to make sure, bottom line, that our students are prepared and reading proficiently by the end of 3rd grade, and that's the goal. We're seeing progress, and I'm just very grateful. There's a lot of collaboration that's taking place, too, and I think that also speaks to some of the success that we're seeing. So the programs are not working in isolation, but they're working together. And I think because of that, that's helping us also see some of the progress that we're seeing.
Governor, you know there was a pilot program, that's true, but the 2012 law that was passed had more stringent language about requiring it long term. So I understand that there was a pilot program, but the intention was not to make it simply a pilot system, if that's my understanding.
Well, it wasn't. I mean, you know, but it's just there was a lot of the resources, and then testing the summer reading program, and bottom line is we want to impact as many students as we can. And so we did programming throughout the states with schools that volunteered to participate in the summer reading program. As you heard, some of them are still providing that. It's just not a mandate, so they're still providing opportunity for students throughout the summer. But we need to take a look at best practices and see what's working and look for opportunities that we can scale that so we can get the results that we're looking for. I don't know, Director Wise, you might have something to add to that also.
You know, and I think it's also important to remember that the Early Literacy Initiative has multiple components to it. So while we're talking narrowly here about the summer reading program, there's also the identification, intervention, and parent communication that were integral to that. So while that specific piece is no longer a required component, it is, as the governor said, all of these pieces working together. And if you take a look at teacher leadership, how that can help fuel this effort, the work of the Reading Research Center, the area education agencies, targeted funding, nearly $8 million that flows directly to school districts to support early literacy, it really remains a point of emphasis for us at the department as well as statewide in all of the districts.
If you had the funding available to reinstate that third grade summer reading program, would you move forward with it?
Well, I think that's a big picture question in terms of where does that fit. I mean, we, at the department, we really want to support the efforts that are in play in the field, and where there's resources and focus, that's what we're going to concentrate on. So I think certainly there's a benefit to summer reading, but again, I don't think it's the piece that this all hinges on. It's that day-to-day throughout the year effort that districts put in to help their students read.
Director Wise, does this 70% number mean that if the requirement was still in place that you had to repeat third grade, you have 30% of students repeating third grade?
No, it doesn't. So what the 70% represents is the percentage of students who have met the benchmark to be on track to reading proficiently. So this is the number that represents those that are over the bar in the screening assessment.
So how many would have to repeat it?
We don't have the data on that. We don't know because it was never fully implemented. There were also conditions to that in terms of good cause exemptions, so we don't know exactly.
But the progress you cited was under that requirement. The requirement was in place when this progress, these percentage increases took place.
Well, the important thing to keep in mind, as I spoke about earlier, is these the progress points we noted, we'll continue to track against those. So that's why we said it's important to have this longitudinal data, regardless of whether you have the summer reading requirements or the retention components. So this is part of the other component of identification and intervention.
So you aren't concerned with taking that requirement away? It might stymie that progress?
No, we will continue to focus on this. It'll be full steam ahead in our schools and as a state agency and working with the AEAs and other partners like the Reading Research Center in this effort.
Governor, the legislature approved about $40 million in new funding last year for K-12 education. Now, again, that you're governor, what do you envision for funding for FY19?
Well, we're going to take a look at what the December Revenue Estimating Conference gives us for available revenue. And at that point, we'll sit down and we will put our budget together for the next fiscal year. But, we're going to continue to monitor revenue and we'll see what the December Revenue Estimating Conference has for our numbers, and that's what we'll build our budget from. Education has been a #1 priority of the previous administration and my administration moving forward. It's one of my top 4 priorities to make sure that Iowa students have the skills for a knowledge economy. Future Ready Iowa is designed to make sure that students either have education or training beyond high school so that they can fill the jobs that are available today as well as the jobs of tomorrow. Teacher Leadership and Compensation is a great program that we started in 2013. From the educators and the administrators that we talk to, they love the collaboration. They like the opportunity to have real-time professional development in the classroom. The early literacy program is just another opportunity for us to continue to do what we can to make sure that our educators have the tools that they need to be successful, and that we can make sure that our students are prepared when they leave high school.
Governor, the superintendents had complained, as you know, the last couple of years about the overall yearly increase in funding. Seeing these numbers that you all are citing today, does this show that those concerns were overblown and that maybe the funding was appropriate?
First of all, you have to look at the revenue that, excuse me, I didn't mean to interrupt you before you finished your question, so I apologize for that. But I want to look at the revenue that we have available, and it was a really tough year last year. I mean, they had to start off a legislative session de-appropriating $118 million, but we did targeted cuts. So not only did we exempt K through 12, Medicaid and backfill in those decisions, $40 million of new money went into education. When we designed the teacher leadership and compensation program, that was $158 million of new money. We rolled that into the formula so that it wasn't a one and done. We wanted to make sure that school districts and educators knew that we were committed to this program. We believed in it. It's a national model. We have states all over the country that are asking what we're doing here. We spent a lot of time talking to educators. Ryan was very involved in that, and administrators, to make sure that we could find a balance that worked so that we could give them the tools to be successful, and that money rolled into the school formula so that it would be ongoing. We got a little over $7.2 billion budget, and 3-some million goes into education. So we have been committed to education, but you still have to live within your means, and you have to be able to live with the resources. We have a balanced budget requirement, and we have to be able to live with the resources that we have. But when you look at the amount of resources, the new money that went into education with the resources we have, I think it demonstrates that it is and will continue to be a priority for this administration.
With tuition going up possibly at Iowa colleges and Iowa lawmakers possibly cutting more money from the budget, what is your plan to help out college students or anyone?
Well, first of all, it's about making sure they're ready so that when they leave high school, we reduce remediation. It's about making sure that they understand the opportunities of dual enrollment. We have more students in the entire country taking advantage of dual enrollment, which helps control costs. Students that participate in dual enrollment have a better, they complete better than the students that don't, so they have a higher completion rate. And we've asked the regents to make sure that, number one, that we continue to do everything we can to make higher education affordable for Iowa students and for their families. I'm proud to say that for 2.5 years, they saw no increase in student tuition, and so we need to, if they're taking a look at potentially increasing it, but they need to keep in the forefront that we need to do everything we can to keep the cost of higher education down, as well as each one of the universities are also providing financial literacy classes for our students, which is really important that they come out with as little of debt as possible, and that they're only borrowing enough money for education and not exceeding that. So they're working with them to also provide that.
Let me ask about something else. Could I, both you and Branson have been unqualified supporters of President Trump. In view of all the controversy that has followed Charlottesville, Virginia, some folks saying that he is lending credence to white supremacists, do you still consider yourself a full-fledged supporter of President Trump?
Well, first of all, Bill, I think I made it very clear, my comments and where I stand on that racist hate, bigotry is unacceptable. It is not who we are as Americans. It's not who we are as a country. But we need to move forward, and we need to look at the future, and we need to figure out and find areas where we can unite and come together as a country. I am focused on Iowa, and I am focused on Iowans making sure that we can find ways to grow this economy, to make sure that Iowans have the skills that they need to fill the jobs of today and tomorrow, and I am focused on making sure that 72,000 Iowans have some type of health insurance come January 1 of 2018. That's what I'm focused on, and that's what I'm going to continue to focus on. That's my priority. I have addressed it. It's unacceptable. It's not to be tolerated, and we're focusing on providing opportunities for Iowans. Thank you.